Hey, welcome to Flutetronic. Up now we have another new flute look. This is a very special flute. This is another one by Haroldchambers. This is number 3, and I'll have number 4 up for you coming up pretty soon on the channel. So this is a third flute I've got from Harold, and this is in a very interesting tuning. This is the mode 2/5 tuning. So we'll take a look at what that means and what this is about. First of all, just give you a look at this flute. Absolutely gorgeous tamarind wood. Lots of great figuring. Let's see if you can read that. So Harold's flute business is called For Him, and 2/5 E flats. This is in the key of E flat major. So yeah, tamarind wood, and I think it is bloodwood. Let me get the specs. Yeah, spalted tamarind, Paduke block. So that's the reddish looking wood here. Paduke block, and Lake Volta Gaboon ebony and Paduke mouthpiece. So ebony wood at the top, will ring a Paduke, and also the Paduke bird or block there. Okay, so what is mode 2/5? Before we get too deep into that, let me just play it kind of how it's meant to be played. Okay, so first I'll give you a mode 2 playing sample. All right, so that is an E flat major pentatonic scale, what that would be called from music theory. Now so that's using the root note in a major pentatonic scale. Now just give a few notes, we'll come back to that. Now let's look at mode 5. You're going to use the 5th of the scale as the root note. So this is actually going to be the root note. So this will be mode 5. Okay, that's mode 5. All right, let's talk about what those modes actually mean. Okay, so modes on the NAF. Now, I'll tell you right off that some of the names in Native American style flute community are just flat out wrong when it comes to music theory. So in particular, you will hear the term mode 4, and when most Native American flute players say mode 4, it means something totally different than, say, from a music theorist. So I'm going to tell you the theory to start here, and don't get too weirded out by it. It's really not difficult at all. So pentatonic mode, I'm going to switch to an A flute because that's usually how I think of Native American style flutes anyway. So your typical mode 1 scale is just your pentatonic minor, and in the key of A it goes like this. All right, so those notes are A, C, D, E, keep third finger down, G, and the octave A. So you get 5 notes there. Every scale does have modes, so if you pick a different starting point in your scale, you're going to get a mode. So if I start on the 2nd of that scale, I'm going to get mode 2. So if I start, instead of starting on A, if I start on the C, I'm going to get mode 2. Sounds like this on the A flute. So that is actually a pentatonic major scale in the key of C. That would be mode 2. If you start on the third hole, music theory, this is mode 3, would be starting on the D note, would sound like this. That's mode 3 musically. Hold that thought. If I start on the next note up, musically this would be mode 4. And this is not what NAF players would tell you is mode 4. But if I start on, so this would be starting on the E note and use that as my root, it would sound like this. So that is going to be an E minor kind of scale. It's not exactly the E pentatonic minor, but it is an E minor scale. All right, and then mode 5 is what we're focusing on today. If you started on the G note of the scale, then you would get mode 5. Sounds like this on the A flute. So that's a bit of an odd one. It's really not major or minor. Technically what I said, the mode, the D mode, musically mode 3 is also not major or minor because it doesn't have a major or minor third in it. This one doesn't either, so it's G. It's kind of a suspended scale, if you will. Or it's just missing that minor or major third. So that's mode 5. So the point behind the special flute for mode 2-5, this one, it's basically taking the intervals from mode 2. So if I think of this as a C flute, which it isn't, it's actually E flat, but if I think of that mode 2, I get those notes and those note intervals as if it were a C major pentatonic. So that's mode 2, and by starting again on what would be the G, or the 5th of the scale, right? But there's no 4th really. Yeah. So C, D, E, it's kind of weird, but it would, so mode 5 does start on the G here, as we saw earlier. So you get 2 different modes. Mode 1 is definitely major. Mode 2, just with the pentatonic notes, is not major or minor. Now you can get to a major third starting from the G pretty easily. So typically you do think of this flute, or at least I do so far, as more of a major style flute. So you can play in what I would think of as C major and G major. Okay, so let's take a little bit deeper look at this, some other notes that you can get without much difficulty at all. So for the C major, or mode 1, you can easily get the F, C, D, E, F, and then G, A. And and B as well. So you can get a full diatonic major with just a couple of extra notes. I'll give you the fingering chart. Fingering chart from Flutopedia works very well on this flute. So it's a little bit odd switching from kind of left hand to, or right hand to left hand. You're really keeping the middle finger down once you get into that, well, I would say F, G, A, B. B is cross-fingered, and then the octave C. So that would be a C, total C diatonic major. So for the mode 5, you can get that B note, of course, to turn it into a true major scale. So you have the F, so it's actually not it's not a G major, it's more of a G mixolydian because you get the that flatted seventh. But yeah, pretty easy to get the hang of C major and G major scales on this flute. Now there are lots of other possibilities, and I'm just figuring out some cross fingerings and other upper octaves. It has a pretty interesting upper octave. So let's just kind of show you the notes there. How to make use of these in a musical context is maybe a lesson for another time, because some of them are kind of outside the first octave notes that we've talked about so far. But you do get kind of the minor ninth or half step up from the octave. You get the major ninth, or same as major second, so that's very useful. And then beyond that, it gets a little more esoteric. So let's kind of just explore up there for a bit. So lots of notes up there. So there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes in there, and they are in tune with a little bit of lip pressure, breath pressure control. They're not entirely in a scale, right? So being able to use those in a musical context can be a little bit creative, but you know, that's not really what the flute was designed to do. It's really more for that first octave and getting kind of the full first octave notes. So speaking of first octave, you can get some cross fingerings. I'm not going to get into that today because I haven't really practiced it and kind of found them all. But if you're used to cross fingerings on the regular NAF, you can find these pretty easily, I'm sure. So I think that's all we'll cover today. So yeah, once again, great flute from Harold. And if you haven't heard his flutes before, go check out his YouTube channel. And if you're looking for something exotic in particular, in terms of tunings maybe, does a lot of different tunings. So if you're looking for something exotic or more plain, does standard ones too, but definitely a maker to take note of and help him out if you can. So great. Catch you next time.